the family tree of the Anunnaki, those who came down from the heavens. Now, even the Native American Indians have a similar word for those who came down from the heavens. They call them the Anu. This is on Humans Are Free. The ancient Anunnaki, or the Nephilim, are often referred to as the immortal gods that lived on earth during the ancient Sumerian time in Mesopotamia. And according to Mesopotamian mythology, the Anunna or Anunnaki were initially the most powerful gods, quote unquote, and lived with Anu in heaven. There we go, Anu. Anu is a term used by the Native American Indians for those who came down from the heavens to give them the law of the god. Now later, without having established a clear motive for this change concerning the Anunnaki we're talking about, the Igigi were considered as celestial gods, while the term Anunna was used to designate the gods of the underworld, especially 7 gods who served as judges in the underworld. In the myth of the Atrahasis, it stated that before the creation of man, the gods had to work to live. Obviously, they called them gods because they had more advanced knowledge than regular humans at the time. So they looked like gods to them. Now, when the Anunna made a category of inferior gods, the Igigi worked for them until they rebelled and refused to continue working. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Then Enki created humanity so that it continued performing the tasks that the minor gods had abandoned, and through cult would provide food for the gods. In the Enuma Elish, it was Marduk who created humanity and then divided the Anunna between heaven and earth and assigned them tasks. Now next, the Anunna, grateful to Marduk, founded Babylon and built a temple in his honor called Esagila. The reinvention of the Anunna term through its Akkadian form Anunnaki arose in 1964 after the publication of the book Ancient Mesopotamia, Portrait of a Dead Civilization by Adolf Leo Oppenheim, who popularized this concept, which later was taken by different blogs and characters from the esoteric world and pseudoscientific portals. Author Zecharia Sitchin published a dozen books known as the Earth Chronicles from the 1970s, where he described in great detail the Anunnaki. In his books, Sitchin offered translated ancient Sumerian clay tablets and texts which were written in a cuneiform script that describes the Anunnaki. In the book The 12th Planet, Sitchin tells the arrival of the Anunnaki to Earth from a supposed planet called Nibiru about 450,000 years ago. Tall beings, about 9 to 10 feet in height, with white skin, long hair, and beards, who would have settled in Mesopotamia, and that by genetic engineering accelerated the evolution of the Neanderthal to Homo sapiens, contributing to their own genetics for the need of slave workers. So, by the way, this is the description that the Native American Indians gave to the Anu. They had white skin, long hair, and they were bearded. Now, according to Sitchin's writings, the technology and power of the Anunnaki is something our civilization cannot replicate even today with our technology of the 21st century. Sitchin stated that the ancient inhabitants of Nibiru had the ability for space travel and genetic engineering 450,000 years ago, and that they would have left traces of their existence all over the earth, with small clues pointing to a still unknown technology that is present in various forms in the construction of pyramids, Egyptian, Mayan, Aztec, Chinese, in the megalithic site of Stonehenge, and the spaceport of Baalbek, in the Nazca Lines, and in Machu Picchu. Now let's keep in mind the Emerald Tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean, the destruction of Atlantis, And he said that their advanced technology was such that they had interstellar travel and even interdimensional travel, that they were very selfish and self-centered, and they were misusing their technology. And God told them not to misuse it, and they were using it at the detriment of humankind. And he explains that it was a matter of time before divine intervention would have put an end to them. But before that, a few of them felt remorse, and they had converted, and they left to their various places during their escape from Atlantis, the Atlantis sinking, and reestablished cities all over the world. The first thing that they did was to build pyramidal complexes. Now, going back to this, the theories are many, and what some scholars refer to as a mythological species. And let's remember also they used to live tens of thousands of years, these Sumerians. From the Sumerian king list we see that. Others point towards interstellar travelers that came to Earth thousands of years ago. But if the Anunnaki were real, who were they and who was the first of them? What is their bloodline, and can we trace them back in history to specific deities? There are various family trees, quote unquote, available on the internet with a series of differences in them. For example, the following is a family tree more inclined to the Mesopotamian, especially Babylonian version of the Anunnaki bloodline. The evidence of this is the inclusion of Tiamat and Marduk. The Grand Assembly of the Anunnaki, essentially the family tree of the ruling class or the gods and goddesses of the Sumerian texts, is given by Lawrence Gardner in Genesis of the Grail Kings, Bantam Press, New York, 1999. And a slightly different version from the genealogy of Sumero-Akkadian gods. The family tree of the Grand Assembly of the Anunnaki starts with Apsu Tiamat, Mother Dragon Queen, with Mumu, Lahmu, Lahamu, Anshar, and Kingu, the guardian of the table of dynasty and destiny, and ends with Nergal, Dumuzi, Inanna, or Ishtar as we know her, and Utu. Now the genealogy of the Sumero-Akkadian god starts with Mother Goddess Namu and Anu, and goes on to Kingu, Tiamat, Abzu, Enki, and ends with other names. And you'll see the family trees here if you are interested in that. So we know though from the Sumerian king list that they used to live tens of thousands of years. According to Wikipedia, the listing kings of Sumer, this is an actual find from the Sumerian king list stele, it's a carving, and from Sumeria and neighboring dynasties, their supposed reign lengths and the locations of the kingship. The list of kings is sequential, and it dating back to the Middle Bronze Age, which is Bronze Age, second principal period of 3H stone, bronze, iron system. Now, it's aimed at legitimizing Isin's claims to hegemony when Isin competed for dominance with Larsa and other city-states in southern Mesopotamia. Now, the mythical pre-dynastic rulers in plausibly lengthy reigns with later, more plausibly historic dynasties. Now, let's keep in mind, even the Holy Bible tells us that the pre-flood beings used to live for thousands of years, and after the flood, something changed. We suppose that even the climate of the earth changed. The sun changed. In other words, before the flood, they didn't have rainbows. And also the longevity of humans started decreasing. Now, the earliest listed ruler was historically, archaeologically verified as Mbaragashi of Kish, about 2600 BC. He was the successor of Aga of Kish, and in the Epic of Gilgamesh, speculation that Gilgamesh himself may have been a historic king of Uruk. And they used to live for thousands of years. For example, the length of reign of Alulim was 28,800 years. Then came Alalgar. He reigned, not the life, but the reign itself was over 36,000 years. Then you have Enmenlu-Ana, who reigned for 43,200 years. And basically, you have a list of kings reigning for tens of thousands of years. Then the flood swept over, they said. Something happened with the flood. And the first dynasty of Kish, they reigned, the length of reign went from tens of thousands of years to 1,800 years, 960 years, ending with about 625 years. Then Kish was defeated and the kingship was taken by Ana. And the first rulers of Uruk, length of reign 324 years. And then you have the first dynasty of Ur. We know that Abraham came from Ur. Mesh-Ane-Pada ruled for 80 years. Mesh-Ki-An-Nuna ruled for 36 years. Elulu for 25 years. And Balulu reigned for 36 years. Now, the length of rulers, as we can see, decreases as the years go by. And you have the various dynasties that you could look at. I'm reading for you from Wikipedia. And then you have the Gutian rule, the Gutian dynasty. Inkisu ruled only 6 years. Most of them ruled about 6 years, 3 years, 1 year, 2 years. Tirigan ruled for 40 days only. So you can see, I'll leave a link below for you concerning the Sumerian king lists. But what I wanted to show you that was before the flood, they used to live and rule for tens of thousands of years. So what were these people? Were they humans, or were they people that were superhuman with superhuman knowledge, really advanced ancient technology? Anyway, there's a lot to be answered here. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.